Alrighty. Welcome, everyone, to the very first satellite gaming podcast, which we are dubbing Satellcast. I'm not really sure who came up with the name, but I'm taking credit for it, because I can. Right here, we're made up of several of us, but right here we have 4 people, and we're going to go ahead and start the introductions, the very, very personal, down-to-earth introductions with Kale. So, Kale, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, like you just said, my name is Kale. I'm living in Arizona. My console choice, by far, is the Xbox. I prefer playing action-adventure, third-person, role-playing games, that kind of stuff. I don't get too much into first-person shooters, but I still play them every now and then.
Alrighty. Thank you very much. Matthew, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, I'm Matthew Atkins, living in Michigan right now. I'm an avid Xbox gamer. I like all sorts of games, but right now I seem to be focused mostly on Gears and Halo, and StarCraft 2 when I have the time.
Sounds like, oh, hey, StarCraft 2. I forgot all about StarCraft 2. Good choice. Very good choice. Michael, you're up.
Hi, my name's Michael. Live in Michigan, of course. Born and raised. On the playground's where I spent most of my days. And my console choice is the computer, because it basically plays all of the 360 games anyway, so why not just use them with mods?
Oh, you're one of those guys.
I didn't think we'd be bringing in PC versus console so soon.
No.
And to wrap it up, I'm the last one here. My name is Curtis Dash. I'm currently living in Ohio. Preferred console is the Xbox 360, of course, but that's mainly just because of the Xbox Live thing. My favorite games probably be the shooters right now. I do like my good RPG every now and then. Currently playing Arkham City, so kind of in the one area, kind of varied and whatnot, but like my whole area of everything. All right. Now that the introductions are all wrapped up and we kind of pretend like we know who we are and who each other is, we'll go ahead and get to our first topic. Our first topic is going to be Halo 4. Yes, it is the first in the so-called Reclaimer trilogy, coming to you from 343 and not Bungie. I'm actually very curious to hear your guys' opinions on the whole 343 and not Bungie thing, but we will get to that. Basically, we're going to be talking about our opinions of gameplay and maybe sales of Halo 4, because I'm very curious to see if you guys think Halo 4 is going to sell as well as, or maybe worse than Reach or Halo 3, any of the current, not the old generation, not the original Halo or Combat Anniversary Edition or Halo 2. So, Kale, why don't you go ahead and get us started on your opinion of maybe the gameplay for Halo 4? What are you thinking? What have you seen that you like? What do you not like? So on and so forth.
Well, I mean, since I played kind of the Anniversary, I've got a lot of faith in 343. I think they really got what it takes to, bring a really good Halo game to the table. I mean, especially, after, because Game Informer a few months ago did a cover story about it, and, there's been all kinds of, gameplay videos and trailers and everything for it now, and so there's a great deal of information, and it seems amazing. I mean, I say seems because obviously I haven't played it yet, but I think that this game has the potential to top the sales that Halo 3 did. I mean, when Halo 3 came out, I really do. I mean, when Halo 3 came out, it was breaking all kinds of records. All those records, of course, now are broken, by Call of Duty.
By Call of Duty and various other, I think I don't know how well Halo Reach sold in terms, but that's actually a really good example, in comparison. Reach, honestly, I don't think Reach sold as well as Halo 3. It just didn't seem to be marketed near as well. I'm not sure if that's not really right. I figured it was marketed really well, but that's a very good point.
No, I know what you mean. Because when Reach came out, I didn't have that same hype for it.
Right.
I mean, I left, school early, called off work, for Halo 3. I was out standing in line for 6 hours waiting for that game. Halo Reach, I picked up a week later at Walmart. I mean, but I think it's the sense of, Master Chief is back, Cortana is back. It's continuing the story of Master Chief, what made Halo Halo. We didn't have that in ODST, Halo Wars, or obviously Halo Wars,
Hey, whoa, back off Halo Wars.
I liked Halo Wars, but it wasn't
it did not sell, to correct myself, Halo Reach did break the record set by Halo 3, selling $200 million worth of copies on the first day of release. So, it did outsell Halo 3, so I wanted to correct myself there.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, if Halo Reach, is going to break Halo records, then there's no doubt in my mind that Halo 4 won't.
Right. Now, Michael, I'm not sure how much of a Halo player you are, but do you honestly think Halo 4 can be better than Reach? I'm not sure what your opinion is on Reach, so if you can go ahead and delve in a little bit and tell us a little bit about it, what you think.
I actually didn't mind Reach. It reminded me of the first Halo. It's kind of like a new beginning sort of thing.
Very much, yes. I can see that, definitely.
It brought back a lot of the weapons. Actually, no.
It very nostalgic feeling, I think, is what you're aiming for. Yeah, Halo Reach definitely had a lot of nostalgia to it, although it was definitely its own with the whole jetpacks, armor abilities, which we'll get to in terms of gameplay. Matthew, what are you thinking? Where are you looking here?
We are witnessing the start of the downfall of the Halo franchise.
Oh, here we go.
Sure, it's gonna sell, but you're changing the entire studio. This is what I feel like. It could go the other way, but 343 is a mostly unproven company. We're not gonna know how these developers are gonna work together, how these, how they're gonna work to do level design and music
definitely.
and everything. It's gonna have an entirely different feel. And I can already tell this is probably gonna happen because of the map packs they released for Reach. It was Reach. I knew they did an HD remake of the original Halo, but that's not the same as creating an entire game from scratch.
True.
They're not going to be able to do the same storyline and all the little things that are going to make this a truly great game. It might look nice, and it's probably going to sell very well. I'll probably pick it up anyway, but I can probably safely say I'm going to be disappointed with it compared to games like Halo 2 and 3.
Oh, that's a very good point. Go ahead, Kale.
What'd you say about storyline? I don't think that's necessarily true. Because there's still a lot of core people from Bungie that stayed on with 343, like Frank O'Connor for one.
Yeah, he's a big guy. Yep, definitely. What is he, the lead designer now? I think that's his title. Head of 343, more or less. Basically, the only face that you probably would ever recognize at 343. With respect to the 343 employees, you have to be honest. Can anybody name one other person that works for that company?
Master Chief.
And really, that's the only reason this game's gonna sell.
Well, is Marty O'Donnell still on?
I don't think so.
I know he's music, but
he's Bungie.
Well, that's still very important.
Yeah.
But here's what I think personally. What I'm kind of feeling is when I saw the Halo 4 trailer for the first time. I think it was that first trailer. Was it E3 or before?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure
E3.
yet. I was excited. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was moderately excited. I was like, okay, this could end up being really good because obviously, if anybody that played Halo 3 and got to the legendary ending, that's the only way that a Halo 4 was gonna make sense to anybody.
Yeah.
It definitely gets away from that whole. I'm sure you guys have heard the argument, the marathon relating to Halo series, and you guys hear it. If you ever have the chance to look into the Halo lore, people are gonna be like, oh, these could be connected, even though Bungie's came right out and been like, no, they're not. But I guess take it with a grain of salt because everyone has their own opinion. But I was moderately excited. I was thinking, okay, maybe we'll actually get a conclusion, which would be nice. But obviously, with the way marketing is, and the way
conclusion and maybe 3 more installments.
Yeah, something like that. So that's kind of where I'm leaning in towards how I felt excited. Now, upon seeing the first gameplay, there's just no reason not to be excited. It looks just like Halo. It honestly looks, and I get what you're saying, Matt, about how, they can make it look like it. But it seems like it plays like it too. The weapons seem to be firing the same. I was watching that multiplayer, one of the multiplayer E3 vids, and it seemed fine. They're Spartan 4s now. If anybody knows anything about the lore real quick, Master Chief is a Spartan 2. You had Spartan 3s and Ghost of Onyx and so on and so forth, and then now these are Spartan 4s. Basically, they're just Spartan 3s, but more of them, more or less, from what I've gathered. And I honestly think, and the whole idea of that, by the way, is astounding. Astoundingly brilliant idea using UNSC Infinity as basically your multiplayer ground, using an entire ship. I think that's brilliant, honestly.
There's actually a story to the multiplayer, not just random maps where you go kill everybody.
And speaking of story, and we're going to expand on this topic a little bit later with the DLC, but I absolutely love what they are doing with like the episodic content.
Yes,
Giving it to everybody
so
for
do I.
and for like every week or however long it was, but it's completely free. They're like, you already bought the game. Why would you pay for, more episodes? We want you to keep coming back. Here's a great reason. Now, honestly, every company should do something of that sort.
Yeah, that is DLC done right
Exactly. And obviously we'll expand on that more later in the show here, but definitely enjoying that. Now, in terms of sales, even if it does break any records, they're just going to be broken by our next topic, which in my opinion is it might not be the better game, but it's just going to be broken. Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Personally, I'm going to say Black Ops 2 will outsell Halo 4. It's just even if Black Ops 2 came out first, I still think it's going to outsell Halo 4. So we're going to delve into Black Ops 2 now. Call of Duty Black Ops 2, obviously getting released not too long from now.
Same month as Halo, isn't it?
Yeah,
November.
So it's definitely a nice competitive edge now. I mean, they're basically what they have in common kind of stops after the whole both of them being first-person shooters. Because let's be completely honest, these games play quite differently. Halo is what I like to call a Twitch shooter, more along the lines of like Unreal. Basically, it's a Twitch shooter. You're going to be twitching for kills and whatnot.
Quake.
And yeah, Quake. There you go. Very Twitch shooter-like. I mean, I'm not saying it's near as fast as Quake or Unreal, but I'm sure you guys gather the point now. Call of Duty Black Ops is definitely, Call of Duty in general is more along the lines of a very slower-esque game. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Everybody has their own opinion there, and everybody has their own likes and dislikes, but that's just where I'm leaning towards. It's definitely a slower game. So I think the comparisons end at them being first-person shooters. But, and we will delve into this right after this topic, but, the whole Call of Duty being a yearly installment thing, which we will delve into, so Kale, hold your opinion there. Alright, so basically, Michael, why don't you go ahead and get us started off with, if you've seen any Black Ops 2 videos, tell me what you think, and maybe a little bit of what you think about the Call of Duty franchise, and maybe what you think in terms of sales. So, what do we got here?
To be honest, I actually haven't seen any videos on Black Ops 2 because I don't like Call of Duty.
Oh, alright.
I don't like the newer ones. They're basically just reiterations of Call of Duty 4 or World at War or...
Yeah, it's basically a copy. You're saying it's a copy and paste of the old one, more or less, with a new coat of paint.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, you see soap in, 4 of these games.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, okay, I can see...
the same character, you have basically the same gameplay, but, I mean, that's not really a bad thing.
Right,
I mean, if true gameplay is just fine. As for sales, I definitely think Black Ops 2 will outsell Halo 4, because Modern Warfare 3... went on to gross $1 billion in the world in 16 days of availability.
Wow.
It actually broke the box office record for biggest entertainment launch ever.
I mean, and that's saying something. Now, one of those a thing about that stat that kind of takes away from that is it's not $5 a movie ticket here, guys. So it's $60 a ticket. That's one thing I want to definitely capitalize on. Another thing, well, could you tell us why you're not a big Call of Duty fan? I mean, is it just do you just not like the gameplay or the stories more or less? Because there are actually a lot of people out there that enjoy the whole Black Ops story. I mean, I never did beat Black Ops personally, the first one, but Modern Warfare, they enjoy that Modern Warfare story. So if you could tell me maybe what you disliked about Call of Duty, and I'm gonna have Matthew jump in right after that.
I don't know. I've always been more of a Halo fan, really. So
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both good series. Yeah.
I never really got into the story either. I mean, World at War was basically not Vietnam, World War II. How am I thinking? That was kind of interesting.
It was odd that what Treyarch decided to keep the World War II thing is basically, because that was around the time where everything was oversaturated with Halo 2. I'm sure Kale remembers every shooter was a World War II shooter, and that's what probably made Halo so refreshing, honestly. But, Matt, why don't you go ahead and delve in on this Black Ops 2 opinion here? What you got?
Black Ops 2. Well, I can say that I'm not going to be getting it either. I didn't really care for Black Ops, the first one. I played it a few times. My brother had it; he let me borrow it. But I mean, it's very clunky. I feel that the Modern Warfare, the Infinity Ward has done a better job with the controls, and maybe it's just because I came in on Modern Warfare 2. But I mean, there's no reason for me to pay for your game to get used to your controls when the one I'm used to is coming out very soon, and the one I'm on still has enough multiplayer, presence to make it relevant.
Still has a community.
As for sales, it's going to outsell, and I'm not sure why. I think this could be the very peak of it. The gaming community is already aware of, like Michael said, how it's been rehashed over and over. And the people coming in are the ones that you want to look at, because, I mean, people our age have played the first Call of Duties, and this has gotten old to us, but to people, well, I just came in on Call of Duty on Modern Warfare 2, so, I've seen this coming, but now I'm really starting to feel the effects of the rehash over and over, which most people are too, most younger kids, which seem to plague the online presence for the Xbox community. But yeah, sales, I think this will probably, I don't know if it'll be the highest and then it will fall down.
Right. Well, we're definitely going to delve into that topic a little more, but I'm not going to hold back Kale anymore. He's probably jumping out of his seat right here, so why don't you tell us what you got there?
All right. I probably hate Call of Duty more than anybody I know, but I play every one. I follow every one, just because I'm not the kind of person that's just going to be like, oh, I hate this game because it's this game.
Right.
I'm going to play it. I did play Modern Warfare 3. I beat the campaign. I played Black Ops, beat the campaign. I played enough of Black Ops to prestige at least once. I didn't get that far in Modern Warfare. But, all right, here's my thing with it. It's not that the gameplay is bad. What I don't like about it is that the gameplay is just never changing. We get the same game every year. And I'm a big hater of franchises. Like, Assassin's Creed for me used to be one of my favorite games. Now it's just circling the drain. We get it every year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I could see that.
But
stretching 2 into its own franchise is definitely annoying. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We could delve into that some other time.
Right. For instance, when Black Ops came out, I had a buddy, I got Black Ops. No, it's just Modern Warfare 2. No, it's not. It's completely different. Just come over and look. Okay, I'll come over and play it. I get over there to play it. Man, I thought you said you were playing Black Ops. This is. Oh. Huh. How about that? Another thing about it is that it's like they charge $15 for 3 maps.
Yeah.
When, I pay for Skyrim DLC that I could put 30 hours into and not see the same thing, twice. Or I pay, for Gears of War maps.
Yeah, we're definitely going to delve into the DLC here soon.
Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. But, it's not that I don't think Call of Duty is a good game. Obviously, a lot of people think it is a good game. It's just one thing after another, just stacking up, especially with Activision. All they care about is money. They don't care about the consumer. They don't care about the fans. All they care about the money. They proved that with Guitar Hero. They proved that with Tony Hawk. Look what happened to those two from Activision. The same thing is going to happen to Call of Duty sooner or later. But it's just the fact that it's a company that's just based on greed, and they're just bashing their game into our faces, just to pinch every penny they can out of us.
The downfall of this, and this is why I think that this may be the last high-selling Call of Duty, is that what's going to knock these from its perch is a competitor, and it's just whatever company can step up and offer another shooter that's fairly similar to Call of Duty, but is different enough to not be the same game. That the competition, this is what here's the analogy: Guitar Hero and Rock Band. They're very similar, but they were different enough, and the two got to competing so much that they had to release so much that it flooded the market, and nobody wanted to buy them anymore. And that's what I think is going to happen with Call of Duty. At some point, some developer is going to step up and kill this franchise.
Okay, well, in terms of that, aren't we kind of already getting that with a little bit of Black Ops, the whole Call of Duty franchise versus Battlefield?
Well,
Battlefield 4 has already been announced. Battlefield 3.
That's what I'm saying. This could be the killers at these two competitions, but these two could also be so farly ingrained into each other's, respective faction war camp that we might need a third even. It's just however, many shooters it takes to flood the market, or whatever, other innovative new game comes out that takes away the FPS, which it may never happen. I mean, these have been around for so long.
Oh yeah, and FPS is a
Going
staple
back
of the gaming series since like '94.
Doom,
So
Wolfenstein, I mean, really.
yeah, Wolfenstein. Forgot all about Wolfenstein. Yeah.
I feel I should throw out a disclaimer here too. Just because we're not Call of Duty fans does not mean we're Battlefield fans necessarily.
I don't even play Battlefield.
I don't play Call of Duty. Oh, you're a Battlefield player. No, I'm not either.
No, actually, I play Mario Kart. No, anyway.
Hey, I love Mario Kart.
Anyway.
So,
No, what I'm thinking there is the whole. Anyway, what I was kind of feeling is, all right, Black Ops 2, the whole. I think the gameplay is going to be pretty. It's going to be pretty damn good. Honestly, it's going to be if you like either of them. If you like either of them at all. If like you like any of the Call of Duty series, I think it's just going to play the same. It's going to be like I don't share Matt's frustration with the controls in the slightest. I played like I played Black Ops.
Not just in the controls, but also in the visuals as well. World of War was a lot more chunky game as opposed to Modern Warfare 2, which is really smooth.
What's funny about that is like they're on the don't quote me on this, but I'm like 90% sure they were run on the same exact engine.
But then they used it badly. Cause
I don't know. But I guess
there's a difference.
To me, there wasn't a whole lot of a difference. Now, what I'm thinking is, if you like any of the Call of Duties, obviously Black Ops 2 is probably going to be extremely familiar to you. Basically, Black Ops 2 seems to go on the route of Modern Warfare, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks so similar. Well,
they're both in the future.
True. It just seems like if you like Modern Warfare, why wouldn't you pick up Black Ops? I think is going to be the argument here, and maybe that's going to work great for Treyarch. But
if you can't beat them, just copy
if you
them.
can't beat them,
Sony?
just join them, right? But in terms of sales, like Black Ops 2 is in my opinion, easily going to outsell Halo 4 easily, and it might not be deserving in the slightest, but it's going to. That's
it's
just
more
how
accessible,
it
in my opinion.
Oh yeah, to be good at Black Ops is a lot easier to be good at
Halo Reach. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Now, in terms of me purchasing either of them, Halo 4 is a definite. Black Ops 2, it's funny. I don't have any intention on buying it at all, but disclaimer there is I did at one point say that about Black Ops, and I still went out and bought it on release night. Like, I had no intention of buying Black Ops at all, and I bought the damn collector's edition. And I don't... it's just like... Trailers made me like that game. It made me be like, you know what? Like, that was one of those situations to where I was actually marketed into that game.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, same thing with Modern Warfare 3. Like, the trailer of the attack on, like, New York and the harbor and everything, that made me want that game.
That's a good point. And Modern Warfare 3, a lot of people hate the story, and maybe it's because they played 1 from the beginning. And, they are weaker than number 1 is. I mean, 1 was phenomenal. I'm going to talk about spoilers here, but with the nuke drop where the soldier that's dying, that was a very powerful moment for gaming.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
And it was, then they tried to do that, killing off your primary character multiple times in 2 and 3. And to some extent it worked in 2 with Ghost and yourself. I think it was Roach. And 3, they did it again, and it doesn't
really
really
mean
lost.
a whole lot if you know that characters can be killed off. It kind of like, I get they can be killed off, but at the same time, you don't need to exercise that authority at all times.
It's good to remind you that you're just human, another unit in the machine, but you only need to do that the one time, and maybe again. But what really I think Modern Warfare 3 did well for their campaign was bringing the battle home, to see the buildings of New York destroyed and on fire, and Russians in the streets. For me, 2 did this well when the Russians invaded Virginia, but it's getting to the point where it's, a level like that doesn't need to be brought out multiple times, and I'm glad that they moved it off there, but I don't see where the campaign can go from here for Modern Warfare.
Well, okay, yeah, that's true. The whole where the campaign can go. I mean, what new gameplay thing can you bring out? Really, it's the whole situation, the whole concept being, but just in terms of gameplay, I mean, Black Ops 2 looks like it's going to play just like the original Black Ops, but more like Modern Warfare, if that makes sense. And that's fine. That's more power to you. I'm going to honestly try to stick to Modern Warfare 3, and then Halo 4. I still play Modern Warfare 3, and we're gonna get into the whole multiplayer communities and whatnot next week. But I guess I'm in agreement with you guys. I don't really hate Call of Duty. I'm a huge Modern Warfare. I was a huge Modern Warfare 2 player. Huge.
Yeah.
I did like the original Modern Warfare. I played World at War. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I was marketed into buying Black Ops, and that is great for Treyarch to market me into buying their product. Brilliant, beautifully done. Black Ops 2 also has really nice trailers. Not gonna lie, if anyone has seen The Dark Knight Rises, they've probably seen the trailer for Black Ops 2. It's that same E3 trailer, more or less, just expanded. But I mean, seriously, right before Dark Knight Rises, you have a Call of Duty trailer. How many people are gonna see that? And it was a good trailer too, I thought. But this leads us to our next topic here, which is it's still on Call of Duty, but has it hit its peak? If not, when will it? If it ever will. I'm gonna go ahead and start on this one, and I want to have Michael jump in right after this. But in my opinion, you guys are all saying that the issue now, everyone has basically said the issue with Call of Duty is that we're getting it every year. And while I understand that is an issue, but here's the thing: every year I get a Madden game. Every year, I get an NBA game. Every year, I get a FIFA game. I don't hear anybody whining about that. And the people that do are the people that don't play sports. But in all reality, I don't hear anybody whining about it. Actually, I know a lot of people that constantly look forward. They're like, oh, we're finally getting 2K13. I mean, 2K12 was amazing. But, like, we're getting NBA 2K13 that's going to have blah, blah, blah. I'm so excited. Then I'm going to throw this one in the trash can. I'm going to eat it for dinner. You have random people. I don't hear that kind of whining. And I'm not saying that we're whining, but I'm saying you don't hear that bitching about it. And I'm just curious as to what, with that point being drawn in there, why is it okay for them to release, and mind you, these games are all $60. And yeah, they have online, but it's online with basketball. Like, what's the real difference here in having a constant sports game, an entire genre of sports in general, as opposed to one first-person shooter that comes out every year? But we're getting 3 of the same recycled soccer, basketball and football games. So, Michael, if you want to delve in a little bit and tell me a little bit about that, what do you think with bringing that opinion up?
I don't really know. I mean, with Call of Duty, I guess you can argue that the gameplay is overall satisfying.
Okay.
And people will keep playing it because it's somewhat addicting.
Right.
Pretty much the same with sports games too.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree with that, but I just don't see why it's fair. And like, obviously, like Kale said, disclaimer here is like, I've whined about it too. How it's like, seriously, we're getting another Call of Duty game. Hasn't it been like 5 months? Like, I get that, but why should would you rather have a new Call of Duty game every year? If you had to pick one, would you rather have a new Call of Duty game, or would you rather have a new NBA game? Bi-yearly would be great, but that's not the way the market works. Kale, what do you think?
If you ask me, I don't care what the game is. I do not think that there should be one every single year. I mean, that's just, I'm a very, very huge Gears of War fan, and I'm not excited at all for Gears of War Judgment. I mean, because there was at least 2 years in between all the other ones, and this one there's like barely a year and a half for it. But anyway, I mean, I've always thought that Madden and NBA and all that stuff, I don't think it should be a yearly series. I think that it should be every other year. Like 2K12 comes out, on disc, and then so 2K13 should just be a huge patch, maybe a $20, $15 patch. Update the rosters, put a new mode or something in there. That's how I think it should be.
Okay.
But then again, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And it's obviously not broken. People are, why would the market change just because of the people's opinions? I mean, if they're making money, but I mean, that's just what I think it should just be like, just because I think that they would have a lot more people, interested in it. This way they would actually have a game that's a lot better than the previous one. I mean, because every year we get a new Madden, and it seems like it's just a little bit worse than what the last one was every year.
Right.
I think if they had 2 years to develop it, I think they would be, better every time, and people would actually more look forward to it. More people, I think, would buy it.
Well, see, if you look at it, it really says something about the game because of how much time they spent developing it. Unless they're programmers, designers, everything, unless they spent like 40 hours every 4 days or something.
Well, okay. The whole concept of that, kind of delving in a little bit more, I'm not really sure if I would want a DLC, I mean, yeah, you would have the ever-evolving game, but is that honestly what you guys want? Like a game that evolves with you, or would you rather pay, or would you rather wait?
To be honest, I'd rather wait for something new, fresh, and exciting.
Same.
So, if I may,
yeah,
I think you're projecting your spending habits onto the populace, and that you bought, these sports games every year, whereas I've waited. The last sports game I got was 2K11, and before that it was 07. I don't get the new games every year because the rosters and stuff, we're going to use NBA for an example, have been updated enough to that I don't feel the need to upgrade. I don't think other people do that as well, and if they do, well, I don't feel like the demographics that big enough to cause a noise where they care. As opposed to maybe Call of Duty, these get much more hype because more people play them. Gamers are gamers. Not all gamers love sports. So I don't want to say we're a rarity. I'm sure they do, but I'm not sure they get into it as much as we would. And you could compare this to cars. New makes of cars are released every year, but people don't go out and buy them. Why?
Okay.
Because they don't like how this one looks, or they don't like how this one drives or plays.
Or they don't want to spend $20,000 on something they spent
on a
that's
car.
the same.
And that's what you have to think about too, is that not all gamers have that price or that money to just, I don't want to say throw away, but to spend. And you can trade in your old version and get it too, but the satisfaction of it goes down. And I don't think that these games, they're not always breaking record sales like Call of Duty is.
That's very true as well.
So these games, it tells me that not as many people buy them every year, but it's an option that you can buy them.
Okay, that's true. Now, in my opinion, I guess you're right. Maybe a little bit of my projections, but I mean, I like football, and the last Madden I bought was 2009. It might have been 2010, but I think 2009 was the one with Favre on the cover. So that's along the lines of where I kind of drew. So in a way, I would like to have a game that, yes, does evolve with me and whatnot, but at the same time, if I have to wait 2 years, let's say I have to wait 2 years for a game, for better graphics and whatnot. Like I understand graphics they're not the deal breaker. For some people they are, I guess. For some people they are, but while graphics aren't the deal breaker for me, I understand that, it would be nice to get a prettier version of what I'm playing. I mean, for example, people have texture packs on Minecraft.
Right.
That's and the only thing those are for is aesthetics. So I guess that's where we kind of.
Those are also free though, mostly, and you can.
That is very true. That is very, very true.
Oh yeah.
Okay, now we're gonna stay in the kind of the realm of what we were talking about with DLC. We'll move on to downloadable content opinions here. Which you guys are kind of feeling. I know we've all at one time may or may not have spent money on DLC. Like I have, honestly. And this includes Xbox Live Arcade titles. And since none of us in here really play PlayStation all that much, not that we don't have knowledge on it, we're just going to stick to Xbox Live Arcade and go from there. So, Kale, why don't you go ahead and start us off with what is your ideal DLC, and then tell me some things you really just do and do not like about how that market is right now.
My idea DLC is something it's worth my money. I mean, it's not just a couple maps here and there. And and I'm not just saying Call of Duty. I'm meaning like all shooters. I mean, it seems like you get a shooter and it's $20 for 3 maps or something like that. Maybe a new mode or something like that. I don't know. I like more story. Like I love campaign DLC. Something that's going to add more to the story, a few more hours, of gameplay, and on top of the maps.
Okay.
I think that Skyrim, I'm still playing the Skyrim DLC, and I got that, when it came out. people, I know people that just flew through it in like 6 hours, but I put a good 25 hours into it. If you actually play it like it's meant to be played, for $15, yeah, that's amazing. 25 hours with $15, that's amazing. I do not agree though with, and I don't know anybody who does, DLC that's on the disc, like locked on there.
I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I bought that disc. Anything on it should be mine. I also don't agree with day one DLC. Not at all. If you had the time to develop that DLC and have it available for launch, it should have been on the disc. You're making me pay for extra content that you took time out of making the game to build.
Now to kind of jump in there, the whole day one DLC, there are a lot of companies that do day one DLC, but it's free. What do you think about that?
I think if it's free, there's no problem. I mean, why would there be a problem? If I'm not having to pay an extra, that's fine.
The only way I can see that coming up is if there was disk space issues. Otherwise, I don't see why it couldn't have been on the disk in the first place. If you don't have the memory, that's fine, or the disk space to write it. But if it's DLC and you have the free disc, I don't see why it can't go on there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now here's what I'm kind of in the same boat that you are, Kale. I have not bought a single Call of Duty map pack. Why? Because if anybody remembers Halo 3 at all, I remember paying $10 for like 5 maps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fine. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm all right with that. 5 new maps, $10. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I don't know. It just, for some reason, it made sense. And then Call of Duty broke some records and decided, you know what? Have 3 maps for $15. That's $5 a map. Are you kidding me? Because 2 of the maps I'm probably not even going to enjoy. That's just how I look at it. It's just way too much. Now, single-player DLC is great. But I honestly, and I'm a huge Mass Effect fan, I don't really know if I enjoy the idea of that kind of single-player DLC to where it doesn't expand on the end of the... Well, some of it did, I understand, but I need something that kind of expands on the end of the game. I don't want to have to... let's say I spent 30 hours beating a game. You come out with DLC that gives me a different ending. Problem is, it's in the middle of the game. I don't want to spend 15 hours getting to that point. And I understand that a lot of the games have a replayability, a new game plus mode, so on and so forth. And that's fine. But at the same time, I'm honestly not big on replaying single-player campaigns.
So you're talking more like what Arkham City did for their DLC. I mean, they just expanded on the ending of Arkham City and went on from there. I don't want to give away spoilers, but I mean, I thought that was brilliantly done.
Now, yeah, if it is something like that, then yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I mean. I want something that is mainly just, it's after. Like, okay, I beat the game. I don't want to have to replay half the game for this DLC to do anything for me. You know what I mean? It's just, for me, it just doesn't make sense, because anything that you throw like an extra 60 hours in, if that's a lot of time. That's a lot of free time. And I just don't see the point in replaying it when it's just to try to play that, 4 hours of new DLC. Skyrim being the exception, obviously. That's just how I feel. Also, another thing in terms of DLC, this is more for Xbox Live Arcade titles. Does anybody remember when all the good ones used to be $10?
Yeah. Yeah.
And now all of them are 15? Even the bad ones are $15 now?
Well, you can argue inflation for that, but I mean, costs are going up.
Right. Well, I mean, Xbox Live Arcade. What do you guys consider a good Xbox Live Arcade? Okay, Deadlight just came out, but let's go Shadow Complex. Or I don't want to use Portal because that was Orange Box, and everybody knows if you don't know my opinion on Valve, you probably don't want to.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider Portal an arcade title. I mean, because it wasn't at first.
Right. So let's just say the Shadow Complex. If anybody's played Shadow Complex, I think that was $10 when it came out. It might have been 15. But for the sake of argument, let's say that's $10. Honestly, that's perfectly priced. Now, would you consider that because you have the AAA games, Halo 4, Call of Duty, those are your AAA. Now, would you consider an Xbox Live Arcade title just like an A game or a B game?
You can't compare those games together because they're just too different. What you can accomplish with that much space to write a fuller game than you could. That's like saying Limbo is a game like Halo. They're just not the same.
Okay.
I think you can call it a AAA arcade title.
Yes,
like,
that's exactly.
There are two different tiers. Like Limbo obviously was a AAA title, but it was an arcade title.
Right.
An arcade title I absolutely loved. I don't know if anybody played it. Was American Wake Alan Wake American Nightmare.
There we go. Yeah, I downloaded that quite a bit later. I still haven't beat it, but it definitely, I mean, it was very much a AAA arcade game. But you can make the argument that that's not really an arcade game either. For example, that's pretty much run on Alan Wake's engine, right?
It is.
Same thing. Just not a.
It is, but it was made for arcade versus Portal, where it was made for PC. It was out on disc on Xbox and then put onto arcade.
Right.
Like, this game was made for arcade.
Now,
but I guess you could go either way on it.
Right. Now, Michael, you've been kind of quiet there. What are you thinking about DLC?
I don't know. I both like it and dislike it.
Well, as a PC gamer,
stupid DLC.
As a PC gamer, you get a lot more free options because Valve releases all their Left 4 Dead map packs and stuff for free, as opposed to us Xbox gamers that have to pay for the Microsoft certification.
Well, yeah, I mean, there is that. But I mean, sometimes on the 360 you get stupid DLC, like $5 for horse armor on Oblivion. Remember that?
Who's going to bring up
Oh, Bethesda. You're never going to let that one get left down.
No. And then there's the DLC that I like Super Meat Boy. I mean, that was a pretty fun game.
Yes, I absolutely love that game. Fantastic.
So many hours of gameplay.
Still haven't beat it.
Hard as hell.
So many broken controllers.
No, okay, well, I guess that's a very good point. Now, the argument that I've heard in the past is, in terms of DLC, would you rather have, now a lot of companies will split their development teams and, obviously into teams. They'll split them into teams, and from there you'll have your, let's say 20% of the team is working on multiplayer content, another 20% working on single player, and then the rest are doing other things, and maybe 10% is devoted to DLC. Now, the argument I've heard in the past is DLC kind of impedes on a new game development. Now, while I don't necessarily think that's true, because you can always just hire more people. It kind of does raise the point, if I could get all that DLC in a new game, but prettier and smoother gameplay, wouldn't you want that?
It depends on how well it impacts the story. If it's relevant to the story, then you actually have to have it as DLC.
And well, you couldn't use that as a sequel.
No, well, it depends. If you're gonna make DLC that's gonna be 30 or 40 hours long, then you may as well make it into a sequel. But DLC isn't meant to be massive like that. And I know that
there are exceptions to the rule.
There are exceptions.
I get that.
I guess the Skyrim one took a while to beat, but I
don't even consider Skyrims to be DLC. I consider that just be a full-blown expansion.
Well, yeah, you could think of that too.
Well, that's still technically DLC in a way. I mean, expansions are expansions. They expand upon the original game.
Where do you draw the line then? When did Brood War become an expansion instead of DLC to StarCraft? All it did was modify some units and add a lot of new maps and story into it.
I guess PC gamers they don't really have DLC so much as we do. Everything's either console gamers are either getting discs or they're not getting anything.
Left 4 Dead with Steam, I know you love this, got their DLC in the form of downloads. So,
right.
And, Halo maps could be on a disc or they could be downloaded. I remember the disc that came out.
Yeah.
Halo 2. I think, yep, the Halo 2 one. I don't remember what it was called. Maptacular, I think. The difference, I think, between expansions and DLC is maybe merging. So, is it really just the medium that determines whether it's expansion or DLC, or is it the fact that you're getting story? Is that an expansion? Is it new professions in World of Warcraft that makes it an expansion?
Right.
Or is it just map packs DLC? Or it could be a map pack expansion.
Well, the whole expansion thing there is, the whole argument there is, would there have been... I cannot, I'm sorry for the life of me, I cannot remember the game that did this, but I know there was a game that started out as a DLC, and it basically had to be blown into I want to say it was a Halo game, but I do not remember. Oh, ODST, where it was, originally that was supposed to be DLC, I believe, and it expanded so much that they turned it into a different game. They, turn it its own separate game. And I can't remember how long that campaign was. 4 to 6 hours?
Yeah,
Maybe
depending on the difficulty. On Heroic, definitely 4 to 6.
So the argument there is, let's say that game comes out as DLC. Are you like, you know what? This is way too much for a DLC. Let's say it would have been, how much was that game when it came out? Was it still $60?
I believe so.
Yeah,
yeah, because it had all the extra map stuff. But let's just say, okay, they were like, oh, we're gonna sell it for $40. Is that too much for a DLC?
Well, no.
It really does depend on the content.
It depends on the content. Yeah, this is what I would. It's my opinion on DLC. It's how much you value what you're getting out of it. If you love Call of Duty so much that those 3 extra maps are worth $5 a piece, that's good DLC to you. The problem with what's good DLC is subjective. What each person's tastes are and how much they value those. So, to me, Skyrim DLC is worthless. Why? Because I don't like Skyrim. Yeah, I'm gonna get claimed for this. So, I mean, as opposed to the Gears maps, which I got the season pass for, it was $60 for the 4 things, but I got the campaign and stuff, so I felt it was a good deal. Whereas opposed to some of my other friends that only wanted the campaign because they felt that they didn't need maps because they weren't getting that lasting content in the form of like a storyline stuff you couldn't develop. Like I want to say bond, but I can't think of a better word. You can't grow with the game, I guess. So it's subjective, and that's why they're trying this. The 3 maps for $5 each, whatever, is because so many people value it and they feel that they need that to stay up to date with the, I don't know, maybe the competitive market or maybe with their friends.
Now another argument there that kind of reminds me of, or basically I just want your guys' opinion on it, and everybody's opinion on it would be, now you have your games that have single player and multiplayer content. We're just going to use Gears of War 3 as an example because you brought it up just now. Obviously they had the multiplayer map packs that came out, but it also had some campaign stuff. Now the majority of your games, it's either one or the other. Mainly multiplayer, obviously, but it's usually either one or the other. But I'm wondering, would you want to see those packaged? Would you want to see them separately, or and do you want everything separately? Either way, like for example, let's say Gears of War is coming out with a map. I mean, they're not doing DLC for it anymore since Judgment was announced, or since right before Judgment was announced. But okay, what are you thinking? Is it okay for a company to be like, okay, we're going to release 5 map packs, and we're going to, 5 maps. You can either buy all 5 maps separate, you can buy them together, all 5 of them together for a bundled price, and we're also going to have single-player campaign, which you can buy separately. Like, do you like that accessibility? Or the majority of your companies, I don't think, do that. I think they're just kind of like, okay, here's what we're coming out with. We're coming out with map packs and a campaign. I'm sorry you don't want the maps, but you want the campaign, so you probably should just buy everything. Like, I believe that's how I think the majority of it has worked, and I really do not agree with that. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong here, but are a lot of games like that or not?
They're all like that. I mean, it's
for the most part
marketing.
Yeah, you either buy it all or you don't get any of it.
And that's something that needs to change.
What I'm really hoping for next generation is that they can set something up, like.
And you're going to see this too.
Oh,
I know exactly where you're going.
I think that they should, instead of being able to buy it in bundles, you just buy map per map. You buy what maps you want to buy.
Walking Dead game.
But you can just buy which maps you want to buy instead of having to buy, 5 maps and you only want 2 of them.
So basically, where Matt's going with it, it's episodic content. Am I right?
Yeah. Maybe like $2 a map. And then, maybe a 30% discount if you buy them all in, one big thing.
Right. Now, Michael, do you spend a lot of money on DLC, or you kind of stay away from it?
I don't know. I tend to not have enough money to do it, so...
Which is why PC gaming's so good.
No, see, just because I have a game that has DLC doesn't mean I'm going to get the DLC. Right. I buy DLC for Gears, obviously, Skyrim.
It's all about, like you guys said, it's all about preference, right?
Right. I mean, I rarely buy DLC. I mean, but when I do, it's for one of my most favorite games, or at the time, probably. But when I buy DLC, I don't care what the price is. Usually, I get it because I get it because I love the game that I'm playing at the moment.
Now, okay, a little bit of a DLC, in my opinion, DLC gone right. Now, everybody remembers Rock Band, obviously. Remember, they were basically doing new songs. Well, they had a new song like every Tuesday, new song pack every Tuesday.
Yep.
Now, is that too much? Like,
No.
I think if Call of Duty did something like that, if they were like, we're gonna do new maps every Tuesday, everyone would be
Yeah,
like,
but you can't do that. 'cause
You.
you can't compare these two. The music industry is so massive that they can get away with this. Eventually, Rock Band's gonna run out of songs to release, but you can't release new maps every week because that's just asinine.
Well, I agree. Well, the price difference obviously is huge.
Well, see, I think that they did it right. I mean, think about it. Guitar Hero, you don't see Guitar Hero around anymore, but you still see Rock Band around.
Yeah.
I mean, that's because how many Guitar Hero games were there?
I
Like
mean,
10?
Here's the problem though. Like, you can't. Rock Band's not around really either. It's there. People play it, but it's not being released, and people still play Guitar Hero, but they don't buy it. Nobody really invests in either of these anymore. They killed each other off. It's a shame that it happened because I really enjoyed Rock Band and Guitar Hero. They both had their challenges. I think Rock Band's a good party game, and Guitar Hero's a good challenge, like for the people that want to play it. But in terms of DLC, they did what they had to do, and I think that the DLC wasn't what killed those games, which I guess gets out of the topic here. But
And I'm going to be that guy just really quick, and it was Activision that killed that whole genre.
well, I believe it too. But I was a big Rock Band fan.
Yeah, I think that given the situation, Rock Band did everything perfectly. I mean, they stopped releasing games and they set up their own music store. I mean, it's an app that you download on the Xbox.
Yeah,
I mean,
very much so.
I mean, they have everything. I mean, any song you could ever want.
Right, and that's
it's
because
on
of
there.
that's the DLC thing that they pushed. That was something they did right. You didn't have to buy it. It enhanced your experience if you liked it, which I guess really comes to my core argument of DLC. It's how much satisfaction do you get? Is this playing this song with your friends worth the 160 gamer points
or whatever it was?
No, see, that's the thing. I don't think they pushed, like you said. I mean, because there's no advertisement there, and there hasn't been for Rock Band
there won't be
in
because
years.
They won't, but that's because they've made a pact with their customers that already know. If you're still playing this game, you know there's DLC coming out. If you don't, you're going to be content with what you have, or you're not playing it anymore anyway.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now Michael actually brought this up, and you guys were just talking about it, but Michael originally brought this up, and I'll let him be the first to talk about it. Marketing. DLC is not really marketed all that well. I don't even think DLC is really marketed at all. Now, is that something that we should change, or, I mean, let's be honest, is that something that should be changed, or let's be honest, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Obviously, DLC sells. Call of Duty sells.
Well, actually, Dawn Guard was marketed fairly well.
Yeah, it was. But, I was just going to say that's the only DLC I think I've ever seen marketed.
Yeah.
And I have to agree.
Dawn Guard. And it's not even really marketed. I see it, on the bottom corner of IGN, just a little black box that says unbelievable, 10 out of 10. That's all it says.
Now, is that something that would you guys want to see if you're, watching TV or watching whatever you're watching, porn, whatever it happens to be? Would you an advertisement pops up in the middle of it says, coming soon, new maps to Halo 4? Like, are you like, oh, okay? Does it get you? Are you like, you know what? I didn't know there were new maps. Does that kind of get you interested, or are you just like, get out of my house?
It beats tampon commercials.
Well, I mean, if I'm going to buy DLC for a game, that means I, am already playing this game that I love. I'm going to know about the DLC in advance. I don't need it marketed to me to tell me that I'm going to buy this.
Right.
Obviously, publishers and developers feel the same way because you don't see it marketed. No. So they already feel that, but then again, and I just thought of something, in a way it is marketed. They're not marketing DLC to people that don't own the game. Why the hell would they? Yep. They're marketing to people that already own the game. So when you go and you put in Halo, you put in Gears, you put in Call of Duty, it's up there on the ticker on the bottom of the screen. Hey, new map pack's coming out, next week or next month or
so on and so forth.
So in a way, it is marketed to the right people.
It's smartly using, exactly.
Now, what do you guys think about? Okay, this is still on the DLC topic, but Game of the Year editions. We're gonna use Fallout 3 as an example because that's probably one of the first ones I actually remember. And obviously Oblivion did it before, but it's just the most recent one off the top of my head besides Arkham City. I just like Fallout. That had a Game of the Year edition where all the DLCs came with it, and the game, it was a full game, and it was $60. Like, it was a regular priced game, As opposed to, let's see, I bought the game on release day, the collector's edition. That was like $80 plus the $10 per content, I think it was. It's like another, that's what, 5 of them. That's another $50. At the time that was fine, but if you just wait a half a year, they're gonna come out with a Game of the Year edition, and I'm gonna get it for free. I don't know.
Game of the Year.
Like, do you guys? I mean, do you agree with that concept, with the whole Game of the Year concept, or should they just be like, you know what? If you don't get it on DLC, we're just gonna release it on a disc, and you're gonna have to pay full price for it, just like everybody else. That's what I think it should be. Now, granted, everybody who waits is basically like telling me to go, to just screw off because they're getting everything for free. But
you see, I love Game of the Year's editions. I mean, even though I maybe have already picked up, I'll take Fallout New Vegas for instance. I bought that not right when it came out, but when it was still $60, I bought it. But I didn't buy any of the DLC for it. I played it a few times. After all the DLC was out, then the Game of the Year edition came out. I bought it a little bit after that again because I had sold off my original copy, and then I got the DLC used for like $40. The Game of the Year edition. I mean, used $40. I mean, so, and that was completely worth it. I mean, anybody who's played New Vegas will tell you that. But then again, I look at Batman's Game of the Year edition where they're selling that for $50, and they had one campaign DLC, which was only like 4 hours long, and then a couple challenge maps. The same thing, same fighting, just on a different background. Now, for $50,
in comparison, but also 2 different genres: RPG and action adventure. So I guess you can consider Batman almost an RPG, more or less, because you're playing the role of somebody else, but I'm not going to delve into that a whole hell of a lot. All right, we'll wrap up the DLC talk and move on to what will be our last topic here. And this is kind of a if you're old enough to remember the Sega Dreamcast, it's not really that old. But I'm just in comparison. I know we all here have played a Nintendo, the original Nintendo. Unfortunately, some of us here probably played the Atari as well. And it was a forefather, blah blah blah. No one cares about the Atari. Let's just be honest. Nobody cares. I don't care. Now, we all remember playing the NES, and honestly, what in my opinion would have been the first choice that I ever really had to make was Sega or Nintendo. Super Nintendo. That's where I remember actually spending the majority of my time was between those 2 games, and I was raised on Sonic, as opposed to Mario. It's just, the different times, and I know we all obviously have different opinions on that, and we'll keep them to ourselves because they're all mean to me. What I'm wondering here is, we all remember the Dreamcast in '99, what lasted till about 2001, I don't know, 2 years, something like that, and got destroyed by... it wasn't long at all. I mean, for a console that was way ahead of its time, in my opinion. Got destroyed by the PS2. What I'm wondering here is, hypothetically, in that perfect world, I understand that they're not doing games anymore. Not really. They're kind of, it flopped. But let's just say they said, you know what, we're going to do one last hurrah. A new Sega console, the Dreamcast 2. I don't care what you call it. We're just going to call it the Dreamcast 2. If Sega made another console, would would it be worth the buy? Is it going to, you think about their first-party titles. Honestly, it's going to be something along the lines of just ignore anything they've ever, teamed up with. Don't worry about the, Sonic and Mario stuff. Just think about just pure Sega titles. Sonic Adventure. Let's think of a Sonic Adventure 3 or 4. A new Sonic reboot. Ignore the terrible, terrible Sonics that we've had recently.
I love Generations.
Never did play. I played the demo. Generations isn't bad. But I'm just saying, ignore Sonic 4 Episode 1 and the episodic content. I'll whine about that in another podcast, I'm sure. But, Kale, why don't you go ahead and start? If Sega makes the Dreamcast 2, what would get you in terms of buying that? Versus, what's going to make you be like, you know what, I'm definitely going to pick up a Dreamcast 2 instead of an Xbox 720 or a PlayStation 4 or the Wii U?
Oh my. I don't know if that could ever happen, but I'll I'll give you the benefit of the doubt here. I'll enlighten you. But I mean, Sega can't even make a AAA title to save their lives.
Oh, come on.
I mean, Samba de Amigo, Sega All-Star Tennis. I mean, really? No.
There's nothing that they could do. Nothing at all.
No, they can't. But like I said, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt here. I'll humor you. You know what? I lied. I'm not going to humor you because I can't think of it.
That's fine. No, it's absolutely fine. I understand.
Well,
Michael. Oh no, you got more?
Let me keep going here. All right.
I don't know. It's been so educational so far.
First of all, there's no way that Sega would have any kind of it's going to be more like the Uyo will be. I mean, it's just going to be completely third-party games because Sega has already sold all the rights to everything to everybody in the
That's very true.
I mean, they'd have to develop completely new IPs, which for a console launch, no. I mean, that's not going to happen.
Well, see, the argument there is everybody's bitching that there are no new IPs out right now. So wouldn't a new console full of nothing but new IPs be good?
They have to be good, though.
Happy. No one's ever happy with anything they get. Gamers are the whiniest bunch of bitches I have ever met in my life. They all
You should be careful before you bash our audience.
But I am a gamer, too, so...
Taste one I guess?
Whatever. I've done said it now, so whatever. But I don't know. I mean, gamers today, gaming is too expensive to take risks like that. I mean, which is why we don't have any new IPs. They can't afford it. I mean, nobody can. That's why we're up to Elder Scrolls 5 and Call of Duty 8000 and whatever. I mean. Yeah. No one can afford to take these risks anymore, especially if Sega were to come out with a new console. There's no way in hell they'd be able to just come out with, here's a bunch of new IPs they're throwing at you. I mean, it's not going to happen.
That's not the question, I guess, is what if they could? Would you buy it?
If they could, I really would. You know what? I don't care. I wouldn't buy it in lieu of something else. I'd still buy my Xbox or the Wii U, but I would also buy the Sega console. Why? Because I grew up with Sega. I don't care what features it has. I'm going to buy it.
What would it take to make you buy it in place of that then?
Man, it would have to do good enough for them to come out with another console.
Basically, I think what I understand, because I'm a big Sega fanboy pre all the Sonic and Mario adventures in Jamaica, so on and so forth. Basically what you're saying is, it would have to be marketed so well, and you would have to probably have some hands-on time with it and get to know all these IPs, and you would really honestly have to sit down and give it a shot. And, looking back on it, Sega, when they released the Dreamcast, when Sony was like, you know what, we're going to do the PS2, everyone was kind of like, this can't be done, but, anybody remember Microsoft? Anybody? They didn't have a console. They just randomly decided to do the Xbox.
But they also had, $12 billion to throw behind it.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying hypothetically here, money's not an issue. It's completely hypothetical, and they haven't sold off all their first-party shit. The whole 5 titles that they had.
That's fine. But they don't.
Right. But I wouldn't mind, but see, the thing is...
In the sake of argument, let's say, Sega is Xbox.
Well, that's basically how I'm looking at them. And honestly, let's say Sega, you can say that Sega has none of their original IPs. And? Microsoft didn't have any. They were all new. And basically all they had was they were went to third party people and was like, hey, you want to release Madden for my Xbox?
This may be something worth talking in the next one, but what if Halo never got Bungie? And what if Halo was never, Microsoft never got Bungie? What if Halo's never released? Would we be looking at a World Sans Xbox?
All right. Well, I mean, I don't know. See, and that's a really good point too. But also, like you said, they did. They had Halo.
That's true.
I mean, as far as me buying a Sega console over something else, I mean, they would have to have a second one for that to happen. Before Xbox, I was a Nintendo fanboy. I mean, GameCube all the way. I hated PS2. It was GameCube. I bought an Xbox still, but as a secondary console to my GameCube. By the time the 360 came around, Xbox was my main console. I mean, I bought a Wii 3 years later.
Well, I mean, this is coming from someone who's, I've obviously owned several of the 360s, PS3s, and Wii's here, but I don't feel like you guys are going to give it a fair chance because you're just you see what Sega, and I understand that with the whole, Microsoft, what makes Sega's position unique here is Microsoft wasn't in the league for several years, decided they couldn't do this anymore, tried to make AAA titles, instead released Sonic with a werewolf attitude. And
I loved that game.
I'm just saying. I'm just gonna move on from that and say that honestly, here's what it would take to get me to buy a Sega console. They've proved that honestly, sitting down, they can be innovative. Let's be honest. The stuff that we're playing on the Xbox Live, obviously that's evolved so much, but that we're playing on Xbox Live with the whole, online community, that was done by Dreamcast first, and by Saturn, by the Sega Saturn before that, way before Sony decided to roll out of the bed and make the PS2. So, Sega can be innovative. Given the opportunity and the backing, they can be very innovative, and honestly, they could damn well be the company that has all these new IPs that gets rid of Call of Duty, or gets rid of Halo.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. With that, like I said, I would for sure buy a Sega console if it came out, just not in replace of something else, not quite yet. Okay. But I would for sure buy, Sega's console if they came out with another one. Then if I like that one, by the second one, that one might be my console choice, and I will, just like what I did with the GameCube versus Xbox.
Okay. Well, Michael, what do you think? What do you think about the whole Sega concept here?
To be honest, I'd probably go with Kale. I'd like to buy a Sega console. I like the Genesis. I played the Dreamcast a bit. I played one of the recent games too. Well, not too recent. You ever played Bayonetta?
Yeah, Bayonetta. That
was all right. That's pretty
budget
good.
title right now. It's a damn good budget title. Yeah, honestly, Sega still has the opportunity. I would not call Bayonetta a AAA title, though. I would definitely call it an A title. You would definitely call that an A title. It was ignoring the whole. Oh, I don't know how to say this right, but the atmosphere of that game probably would take it away because it's not as accessible. But I believe that Sega could easily come out with all kinds of original IPs. And let's be honest, for a console launch, you really only need like 13 games. And to be honest, only 5 of them are probably first party for the most part. Maybe 10, maybe not even 10. Honestly, hell, what the Xbox had, I don't know, was it 11 launch titles? I don't really remember, but it is a launch after all, and not sustained. Let's just get through launch, and we'll talk about all that fun stuff. Now, it's such a hard subject for me because obviously I spent a lot of time with the Dreamcast, and I wanted a Dreamcast so bad. I hated the Dreamcast for the longest time. I wanted a PS2, and eventually a friend of mine had a Dreamcast that I played, and I went from there. And it was just so ahead of its time, and I feel like if given the opportunity and the money and the faith that Sega could do it, why not? And maybe someday soon we'll find out. I probably not, but maybe. But
I'd like to see it happen. I really do think they got what it takes, and like I said, I would support it and buy it, but I don't ever see it happen.
You guys are optimistic. You say you think it's going to happen. You want to see it happen. You think it will, but money and creativity are depleted from the Sega team. If they had something good, they would have released it in a AAA game by now, unless they are saving all of their ideas. But I don't see this happening. This is something else they can go on later. Console gaming, most people feel it's coming to an end. If they do release one by some miracle, if they scrounge enough funds to pay developers and creative artists and whatnot to throw enough titles together, and they can make it accessible with the pricing, to compete with the other three right now in terms of pricing would be pretty hard for Sega since they're so depleted. They've got a long road to recovery. For anybody who's played Axis and Allies, they've lost their capital. So.
There we go. Now, staying with Sega, hypothetically, let's say Sega puts all their development behind PC gaming. Does that help PC, or does it not even matter?
Yes. Because PC gaming is this is what I'm saying though, console gaming is going out. PC gaming is becoming more of a future thing where it's the Steam box, I guess you could say, where you just queue up games that you download and enjoy. They're going to become smaller.
But consoles can do that.
They can, but you're going to see that
And the
take
thing
over.
is, my console's not obsolete in 2 months.
Well, that's the thing, though.
I mean, it is, but at the same time, in comparison to its own, I don't know. It just, to me,
No, it's not going to be obsolete in 2 months because next gen's already going to be obsolete before it even comes out.
well, yeah, I mean that's very true.
And this is a big argument for PC gaming, but it's you don't have, your computer breaks, you don't have to, it doesn't take a magician to fix it. You just have to sign it to Xbox and they'll do it for you. Or I mean, it seems a lot more can go wrong
Right.
with a computer than it can with a console. And
Well,
I know Xbox 360s are a bad example for this, but I mean PS2s, and when my GameCube died, Nintendo sent me another one within the week. Brand new.
And this is definitely a next week topic for sure. But the PC gaming versus console gaming is something we will delve into a little bit to wrap up next time. But we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Here's what's to come for next week. We have a little bit of Borderlands 2 talk. I know that there are several people out there that are actually pretty excited, and from what I've heard, it broke all kinds of pre-order records, I think is what we had read.
Yeah, the loot edition's already, you can't even pre-order that anymore.
I mean, it's being out that's pre-ordered over Halo 4 and Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Very, 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 very interesting. Maybe we are seeing that, what we talked about earlier, the fall of Call of Duty. We have picked one next-gen console to talk about, and it's going to be the Wii U. So we'll focus on that a little bit. We will talk about Sony's All-Star Brawler that they have coming out, and their opinion, basically, if you don't know anything about it, it is Super Smash Brothers, but Sony's Smash Brothers. Oh, we already know Kale's opinion, obviously. We're going to do a few game reviews. We'll let you know which ones those are going to be. Given time after that, we're going to talk about online communities and multiplayer. Do you prefer to play with Gears 3 players or Halo Reach players or Call of Duty players? That's probably going to be a heavily opinionated piece. Maybe there will be a lot of agreement, but we'll see. Also, one that I thought about is I definitely want to talk about Gears 3. I want to know if you guys think it flopped, or if it was just a bad release time, or if it didn't flop at all and it sold perfectly in what you thought it would do. And then we are going to talk about what if Halo never came out, and also PC gaming versus console gaming. We'll wrap up next time. So thank you for joining us. Once again, we are Satellite Gaming. This is a Saddlecast, and we will see you next week.